Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video, and we're in the grain shed. Since I did the last report, my goodness, the news has been full of sort of events that are affecting agriculture and all the rest of us, chiefly with those fertiliser plants suddenly shutting down in the UK. Those plants, Yara and CF, were producing around 40% of UK agriculture. So all farmers are wondering, what on earth is the price of fertiliser going to be next year? We always knew it was sort of gas-based, the actual manufacture of ammonium nitrate, nitrogen fertiliser. And it did a little climb last year, but goodness knows what it's going to be next year. I've doubled the price in my budgets for going forward, but if I ring a merchant, I said, how much is nitrogen fertiliser? It's just not available. They're just not manufacturing. So that one is a developing story for all farmers, but we all want to know what price of fertiliser is going to be for next season. But returning to this season, what's been going on here? Well, there's about 300 tonnes of wheat has left the farm over the last couple of weeks, and there's about 250 tonnes left. Now, the good news is it's making milling quality, which is a big bonus this year because there's a big premium for milling quality because we have that damp conditions, not a lot of sunlight. That means you don't get a high protein in your wheat. Millers like protein, they want 13% protein. This actually is 12.5% protein. So not bad, but not top spec, but there's very little top spec around. And the other thing that's lacking is that Hagberg. I explained when you get a sort of wet harvest, that seed, all it's designed to do is to grow, and you get that moisture and rain and the seed thinks, oh, it's time to grow, and your Hagberg disappears. And that means if you get a low Hagberg reading, you can't make bread out of it because it doesn't sort of expand and go like a loaf and have bubbles in the actual loaf itself. This has Hagberg because we managed to get it in before the real rain, and we're in this area, we were better off for rain than some of the other main areas. But yeah, you can tell what I look for the wheat. One, it's reasonably heavy. I'm looking at a dark colour. So those seeds, if you can see it with a sort of darker brown look, are the high protein seeds. The seeds sort of vary in the ear. You get higher protein normally at the top of the ear than at the bottom. But yeah, to a miller, they like it. And I really like that because the price is a £26 premium, less the deductions for the lower protein and a little bit of bushel weight. I'm averaging around £7 a tonne deduction. That still puts it at around £200 a tonne for wheat, which I would never have put in the budget. I mean, a huge price for wheat. I was looking at my records to see what we used to sell wheat for. If I go back to the, late 90s, early noughties, I was selling wheat between 80 and 90 pounds a tonne. That's half the reason I started Evo magazine in 98, because I just needed diversify. There was no way I could survive in farming at 80 to 90 pounds a tonne. It did go up to about 120, 130 in the late noughties and then dropped back again. And by 2015, £105 a tonne was what I was receiving for wheat, and the profitability was pretty tough at that sort of level. 2017, 132. Last year we got milling quality. The actual selling price average for all the wheat last year, £178 a tonne. Never would use that sort of budget. I was hoping to get 150, 160 this year, and here we are. Top spec milling wheat, £208 a tonne. So I was going to, in the last video I said I was going to look at, explain how we decide what to grow for next year. So we're at the seeding. This is the time where we do the drilling. This is Barracuda barley seed on here. So 4 bags of this hybrid barley. Barracuda is that barley we grew last time, and hybrid just gives it this extra energy, and it's very, imagine the amount of straw we got off this field. And it gave us a very good entry into oilseed rape. So we are putting another small amount, really, just 50 acres of barley in, so we can guarantee an oilseed rape crop, early crop, to go in the ground for 22-23 harvest. So that's why I'm growing the barley. And I've decided the rest of the area is going to be wheat. And I'm going to look, going forward, at maximising the amount of wheat we grow on the farm, which I'll explain in a moment. But over here, you'll see what we've been up to. Yeah, a couple of days ago, we had the CYO to dress all the seed out. And here is all the seed. And I like doing this. So this is home saved seed, as it's termed. So this is wheat, that wheat down there. The CYO guys come in, the lorry comes in, and it's a very sophisticated seed dresser. And what their job is to make the best sample of that wheat. So you put it over these sieves. Well, they have a weird machine I've never seen, like this drum, and it spins inside this drum through the sieves rather than the vibrating plates like this, which the normal dresser does. This thing is spinning around inside. Don't really need to know the tech, but a very clever bit of kit. And it has big sieves and small sieves, and it basically chooses the middle grade, the perfect sample of wheat. And once it's created this perfect sample of wheat, you then put a seed dressing on it. And I've put Tyrus on it, which was that seed dressing I used in some fields as an experiment last year. Microbacteria action, it makes phosphates and potash more available from the soil to the plant, is the idea. I could see a visual difference, and we had a good yield on the fields that don't normally yield quite so well. And then latitude on some of the seed, which is an additional dressing, and that helps it in the second wheat position. Lots of tech here. But explained before, you have a break crop, oilseed rape, linseed or something, and your next crop is your first wheat, and that's your highest yielding wheat crop of all. I then grow a second wheat, so wheat after wheat, and you get a drop in yield from a soil-based bacteria that gets to wheat and reduces yield, and you don't notice it till the end of the season. Latitude protects you against take-all, so it's a good thing to put on your second wheat. I'll just show you what it looks like once you dress the seed out. There you go. So there you can see the seed dressing, the red on it is to indicate it's got a seed dressing on it, and it's evenly coated, and that's the Tyrus and the Latitude on it. So yeah, that's what's going on in here. I don't know, something quite nice about dressing your own seed out. But I've done this one more year than I ever done before. Commercial seed, this seed here, let's say this is C2 seed, commercially available seed. If I home save that seed next year, that is known as C3. If I saved it again, it's C4, and home save again is C5. I've never home saved for 3 years until this year. So this is actually C5 seed. Still very pure. I've picked the wheat that came off the fields with the lowest weed seeds on it, so it's as pure as I can make it. I dress it very hard, so we get a really bold sample, the bolder sample we can, because we've got about 250 tonnes there. I need about 10 tonnes of seed, so I can dress it really hard to get the boldest, plumpest grains. I just believe if you have a plumpest grain, it has to be a healthier plant you're going to get when it grows, you know, when we put it in the soil in a few weeks' time. So it has to have more energy to survive if the weather goes a bit iffy. That's the theory, but I don't want to do a C6 greater gain for seed, so that's why I've got some more seed from the merchant, C2, so I can, if I want to home save, I will use the produce of that C2. Yeah, so I hope you understand that, how you generate your own seed on farm. What I'm going to do now is take you to another bit of the farm where we're going to start drilling the barley, and also explain why we use glyphosate at this time of year and why it's a critical part of modern farming. Right, well, this is winter wheat that's going back into winter wheat, and we've been out here with that straw rake, that thing that charges around and gives everything a bit of a stir. And the idea of that straw rake is to sort of scratch the soil and just make any weed seeds grow. So these are sort of bits of wheat that have come out the back of the combine, volunteers as they're termed, and we've got them to grow. But what I'm really keen on getting to grow is any weed, grass weed, so black grass or something like that, and I can't see any typically when we turn the camera on of what there is. There's that one, that could be a weed seed, can't say, no, that looks like wheat as well. But this is where glyphosate, Roundup, plays a key role in modern farming. For me to charge around here with that straw rake, I'm hardly using any diesel at all. It's about 20 litres an hour, and a work rate of 6 hectares an hour is 15 acres an hour. So we're down to 1 litres per hectare usage. Tiny amount of diesel used while we scratch up the ground and do that. Had I gone in, the old way of doing it would actually have been ploughing. We would have come in here and ploughed. That ploughing is a way of getting rid of weeds, and by ploughing it's a very slow operation and burns a lot of diesel, around 20 litres a hectare or thereabouts. So a massive jump in diesel uses to bury those weed seeds under the ground and leave a nice clean crop on top. But by using glyphosate as our cultivator, or as our weed control, that we get the weeds to grow up. It's a stale seedbed, this is called, this technique. Get those to grow, glyphosate, kill them off, and then we come in with that Claydon hybrid drill, and we have hardly disturbed the soil. And that means the micronutrients in the soil can build up. Earthworms are having their world turned upside down, and the soil is actually a happier place as well. So it's a key ingredient for modern farming. If we dropped glyphosate, I've seen from Germany, there's some areas they've banned it, their diesel usage per hectare has shot up by 60%. We would be burning dramatically more diesel, burying this ploughing, going back to an old way of farming, just burning lots of diesel to achieve the same thing we do now with a tiny little scratch on top to get the weed to germinate. Glyphosate is about £10 an acre now, and then we've got a perfect way of controlling weed seeds, and we're not actually bringing all the weed seeds from underneath up as well. And the real positive, you have to remember, it's better for soil health as well by not inverting the soil. So that's what's going on here. And then there's a lot of farms around me who have taken up stewardship, countryside stewardship scheme that was launched in February 21, which rewards farmers for taking land out of arable production and putting it into grass. It's called arable reversion, back to grass. And if you volunteer to not put fertiliser on it, you get even more from the government for not farming your acres. I think it's £311 for saying, I'm not going to grow any more crops, I'm going to put grass in, and if I don't put fertiliser on, I get another £130 a hectare. So we're up around the £450 a hectare to plant grass on this field. And that's actually quite attractive to a lot of farmers. They can sell all the machinery, they've got a guaranteed income, they top it, they could take a hay crop off it or whatever. It's not what I'm doing though. I'm looking around, there's quite a few have done it, but there's only 5 million hectares of arable land in the UK. There's already 26,000 hectares a year in the UK lost for various building, road system or whatever, coming off that total, mainly on the arable front. So the amount of arable cropped area in the UK is constantly dropping anyway. Much more permanent grasslands around. We have livestock on our permanent grassland here, but this is actually all to do to take arable out of production right at a time when we're seeing wheat prices shoot up to over £200 a tonne. That's telling me the market wants more wheat, but this government seems insistent that we're going to take land out of production. So I'm going against the government advice, and I'm looking to increase the amount of wheat I grow. Because when you're doing all the budgets back in February, it was probably £140 a tonne, and now it's shot up. Is that price we've got today sustainable? Well, the more I look at the future, the more I think it is sustainable. We've just moved to 10% ethanol in all our fuel from the 1st of September in the UK. Where's ethanol come from? The ethanol plants in the UK use wheat to produce ethanol. So that's going to take 1 million, 2 million tonnes of wheat out of what we've got already. All my neighbours going into this countryside stewardship scheme, reducing acres further. More people need feeding. Wheat feeds both chicken farms, big farms, bread, etc. I think the wheat price we've got today is here to stay. The only one I can't budget on is the fertiliser price, and what on earth is going to happen to that. And the fact that we're getting area payments reducing, well, I think the wheat price, you know, if you get 3.5 tonnes an acre and you're suddenly getting £50 more, what's that? That's 150, 175 pounds an acre more per, you know, output, gross margin, purely on price. That takes care of the £80 an acre you're getting or thereabouts on the single file payment that disappears. So it'll be very interesting few years coming up. My take on it, I'm going to increase wheat and also look at growing continuous wheat maybe, because I think that's what the market wants. The world still needs feeding. Population is going up, and I don't think we should be putting arable land, the little bit of arable land we've got in the UK, into grass just to make it look pretty. So there you go. Be very interested in your thoughts on that one, what you're doing, whether you think we should be reducing the amount of arable crops and just importing all our food instead of growing it at home. Seems a weird one, but that seems what the government guidance is at the moment, and we've got this environmental land management to be announced in a year or two's time. All sorts going on the farm. We've actually just had some bees arrive, so real excitement. First time we've actually had a hive on the farm. We've had them just on the perimeter, but now we've got actually one on the farm, so I'll do a bit more detail on that one in the next video. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, well, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.